Hey, it's student visa season, and everyone here at Argo Visa has been very busy producing webinars, workshops, and videos like this one to help our students get prepared for their student visa interview. In today's video though, I'm going to do something just a little bit different, and that is speak to the spouses of F-1 visa holders. If you are the spouse or child of an F-1 visa holder, you may qualify for an F-2 visa to live with your spouse in the United States. However, F-2 visas are currently one of the hardest visas to qualify for. So in this video, I'm going to cover it all. What is an F-2 visa? What does it take to qualify for one? What documents you need for your interview, top mistakes to avoid, and lastly, if you stick with me to the end of this video, I'll tell you the one thing that all visa officers are looking for, but that they don't tell you about. Okay. So what is an F-2 visa? A quick definition is that the F-2 visa is for the dependents of an F-1 visa holder, meaning their spouse or unmarried children under the age of 21, to go and stay with them in the United States while they study. This category of visa is in high demand because it allows a student's family to live, not just visit them in the United States. There are caveats, however. While your children can go to school, the spouse is not allowed to study or work while on the F-2 visa. All right, so how does one qualify for the F-2 visa? There are three main qualifications and one that they don't tell you about to getting approved your F-2 visa. The first is demonstrating that the F-1 visa holder is a credible student, or in other words, is in status. How you talk about this, of course, will depend on if you're applying together as a family as part of an initial application, or if the F-1 student is already in the United States and the F-2 visa dependent is applying afterwards. If the student's already in the United States, then ideally they've been enrolled full-time, consistently, and are doing well in school. The second main qualification is that the marriage to the F-1 visa holder is credible. This means not only that you're legally married, but that the relationship is not for the purposes of immigration. Last but not least, the F-2 applicant must have non-immigrant intent, or in other words, ties to their home country that will compel them to return after the F-1 student visa holder has finished their course of studies in the United States. Now, Argo Visa has a lot of videos out there on how to demonstrate home ties. So if you haven't seen those already, I recommend you take a look. Regardless, at the end of this video, I'll tell you the one qualification that's related to this that all visa officers are looking for. All right, so what documents do you need to apply? First, you want all of the relevant documentation to prove that the F-1 student visa holder has a valid visa, an I-20, and enrollment letter from the school. These are all great things to have with you at the visa interview, so the officer doesn't need to look them up. Secondly, you want proof of relationship. So that would be your marriage certificate, probably your birth certificate, and just any other evidence that you have that the relationship is a real one. So maybe a few photos of the two of you together. Lastly, you'll want to bring proof of financial support. Because you can't work on an F-2 visa and the F-1 visa holder is enrolled full-time, the officers will often be looking for some sort of financial plan or evidence that the whole family can afford to be living in the United States without needing to work illegally. All right. So top mistakes to avoid in your visa interview. I think the most common mistake that we see are people not being specific enough about their marriage or what their spouse, if they're already in the United States, is doing. Remember that any question about how long you've been married or what your spouse is doing for their studies is an opportunity for that F-2 visa applicant to show that you qualify in two ways. The marriage is credible, and that the F-1 is maintaining their status if they're already in the United States. Next, I think another common mistake is not having a clear picture of the financial plan of how you're going to support yourselves when you're in the US. Remember, if you say as the F-2 visa applicant that you plan to work or study, this will get you denied. Lastly, poor preparation for your visa interview. Sadly, I think this is a more common mistake for F-2 visa applicants than F-1 visa applicants. I think when you are applying for the study visa, you know you need to prepare, be ready to talk about why you chose the university, what you want to study, what your professional goals are. But the F-2 visa interview is not as easy as it sounds, even though it should be just a question of, are you really married to an F1 student visa holder? As you can see, there's a lot more involved. And that brings me to what all visa officers are looking for in the visa interview, but that they don't tell you about. And it's this: that not only you, the F-2 visa applicant, will return to your home country, but that the F-1 visa holder is going to return too. This all goes back to demonstrating that you have strong ties to your home country, and the best way to do this is to talk about your plan as a married couple or family. I hope this video was helpful. If you're serious about joining your spouse in the US, don't just hope for the best, get the expert help you need.